not the most pleasant man, I'll admit it, but I'm proud of you lot. You're my family, the men who helped me slaughter the Starks at the Red Wedding. Yes. Cheer. Brave men, all of you. Butcher the woman pregnant with her babe. Cut the throat of a mother of 5. Slaughtered your guests after inviting them into your home. But you didn't slaughter every one of the Starks. No. That was your mistake. You should have ripped them all out, root and stem. Leave one wolf alive, and the sheep are never safe.
When people ask you what happened here, tell them the North remembers. Tell them winter came for House Frey.
Guys, welcome back to another special feature episode of Midnight Double Feature. We're back here covering the amazing Game of Thrones. Before, I believe this episode is going to come out just before the new season starts. We decided to just keep you guys in suspense, obviously. It had nothing to do with scheduling. It had everything to do with keeping you guys in suspense. So that's my little scapegoat reasoning there. But Jill, thank you so much for coming back. Welcome back.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with our organisational skills at all.
No, absolutely not. It's got nothing to do with that at all.
Perfectly timed.
Right. How do you feel about being episode 101?
I like that. That's sick. No pressure of being the 100th. It's like...
Dude, we had like 100 planned for a while, man. Like I was just like
exactly, yeah. I like being the next one over. Yeah, it's sick.
Hey, man,
and congrats to you guys. Well done. That's a lot of content as well that you've put out there.
Thanks, Jill. Yeah, I mean, you're bringing in this new century of episodes, so really. I mean, like, you know, what better way to start it off than on a high note? Can only go down from here. Can only go downhill from here.
And now I've started it.
Oh, boy. But no, like I said, Game of Thrones, we've already got the other episode on the feed covering seasons 1 to 4. That's inclusive, 1 to 4. So go check that out if you haven't heard this yet. And obviously don't listen to this episode if you haven't seen Game of Thrones. This is going to be all spoilers. We don't give a shit about dancing around spoilers or anything like that.
You can't talk about Game of Thrones and not talk about spoilers. So
right, like someone dies every 30 seconds.
Exactly.
Like we can't dance around that shit. Another thing that I wanted to mention as well. So on this episode, we'll be giving our predictions for season 7. Oh, sorry, season 8, the final season. Jesus Christ. Fucked that up, didn't I? It's been a long day. I was just telling you off air, man. I'm just like, oh, man, I'm so tired right now. But no.
We'll allow it.
That's, yeah. But, all right, man. Fucking let's get into this shit. Game of Thrones, season 5. Where do we end with the last season? So Roose Bolton returned to Winterfell from the Red Wedding. The Red Wedding happened in season 3, right? So I guess season 4, what happened? So Joffrey died. Jamie and Brienne arrived at King's Landing. Whatever. I'm not here for a recap, so whatever.
Just re-listen to the last episode that we recapped.
Just go back. Just go back.
You guys know what happened in season 4. That's what we talked about.
Yeah.
Cool.
So season 5. So Stannis has defeated the Raider. Has defeated Mance Raider.
Mance Raider, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this. Okay. Let me just
Radar.
pull it. So are you reading what I'm reading here?
Yeah,
'Cause that's fucked.
I am.
So you sent me this like link. It's
Hey, don't bag out my links,
independent.co.uk.
all right? Don't bag out my links.
It's independent.co.uk because we're way too lazy to go through the entire series and make notes. Stannis has defeated the Radar. Like, I'm sure it's supposed to say Stannis has defeated Mance Radar. So, yeah, because I remember that. First episode, season 5, he gets burned at the stake, but Jon Snow kind of puts him out of his misery.
Yeah.
I like Mance.
Yeah,
Kieran Hines
Mance was
is the actor.
one of those like underdog, somewhat of a villain, but a hero in the same kind of sense of the word. Like he stood up for, I guess, obviously the wildlings respected him, and I think when Joe like kind of saved him from the agony, like a slow death, that's when the wildlings kind of like saw John as like this guy's kind of on our side again as well.
Right, yeah, because I definitely remember Tormund looking over at John and being like, oh, yeah.
Because I guess the wildlings were kind of not so much afraid, but like obviously you have to keep an eye on your enemies to some degree about who's going to be elected for the Night's Watch. I think the fact that he showed empathy towards someone so significant for the wildlings, probably obviously for Tormund as well, he noticed that for sure.
Yeah, I do. I love what they did with Mance Radar. Like, you know, you got... Because season 4 was that massive, you know, Watchers on the Wall battle. But, I mean, up till a certain point in the show, before John meets with him, he's kind of like portrayed to be like this villainous character, like you were saying. Like he's kind of like this person that everyone kind of like fears and kind of, don't get in Mance's way, or, he's built this massive army to take over the realms of men. But then like when you meet him, you fully empathize with his, with his cause, and like, the way he's like banded together hundreds of these tribes who've never fought together before in their lives, and you just find out that they're running from something, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you've got to, it just shows like obviously these, like you said, obviously this massive tribe of people believe in this man, so he's got to have some wits about him and know what he's doing, because he's obviously got to that point for a reason as well.
Right. I don't want to go past this actor as well, Kieran Hines. He's from heaps of movies. He's from Munich. He's awesome in Munich. But yeah, he's definitely in a few things. So this is also the season where we get that insane like burning at the stake of fucking what's her name? What's the daughter's name? The Princess Shireen. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
I pulled that out of my ass.
Well done, I'm impressed.
For some reason I kept thinking of Talisa, but she's already dead.
Oh, right, yes.
But yeah, man, like that was heart-wrenching.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, especially season 5 in, we've seen a lot of deaths, but especially because we have this kind of relationship with her too, where she's kind of our point of view as well. She's a very mature young girl, and you kind of even do think, well, she's the future of this family pretty much, and she, she's very heavily involved with Stannis and all that kind of stuff. So she was heavily involved in the storylines too. So it was very sad to see her go.
Yeah, it totally was. I mean, like, I like that, she was teaching Davos how to read.
Yeah.
We got these really, like, awesome, like, look-ins, and she was always trying to, I guess, make her father proud, even to, like, her last moment,
Yeah.
It was really heart-wrenching. And watching it again, watching Stannis and his wife, watching his wife kind of renege on, like, what was happening.
Definitely.
Like,
you can see her spiraling. Obviously, she's crazy when you first meet her, but you can see her like really unravel as the seasons go on as well. I guess because Stannis sacrifices so much for the cause, and she's kind of really been brainwashed into it as well. She just totally loses her mind. And I mean, for any father or mother to sacrifice their child to be the leader of is pretty hardcore. So they're not all there. They weren't the most honest people. So it's probably a good thing that they didn't last very long as well.
Right. And I think the most brutal part of it as well is that it happens for no fucking reason.
No reason, yeah, I know. Isn't that the most heartbreaking thing? Because you kind of go, right, well, if they've done that, Stannis better fucking, make some difference. But unfortunately, yeah, was not so much the case. But I guess, like you touched on before, like because of her, Davos can read, and that's definitely something that he has taken into the later seasons is his ability to, have somewhat of an ability to read. And because of her too, look, and because I've rewatched obviously the last few seasons recently, because of the burning at the stake too, that's why finally what's her name again? Melisandre is vanished away. And who knows, I feel like because she's travelled away from Jon Snow, I feel like she's been able to dabble a bit in a few things. And I think her travelling might come back to us. I have no idea, but maybe we'll talk about that later.
Well, she goes right to Daenerys, doesn't she?
She does, straight away, yeah.
Yeah. She goes right to Daenerys, which is kind of
tells her about Jon and everything. And how he's,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, man, that was definitely a heart-wrenching moment. I thought that episode, Game of Thrones loves to push the envelope. But man, like some of the screaming from the actress that plays Shireen,
so true.
It goes on for so long. It is. Oh man, it's tough to listen to.
And like a lot of the deaths are quite like brutal, like as in how people die. Like a lot of them are in war or for punishment, all this kind of stuff. But this was really like she died for no reason. She was innocent, all that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't say this was probably, it was up there to be the most emotional scenes for Game of Thrones. I feel like Game of Thrones is such a powerful story in itself, but there's only probably like a few really emotional scenes you could probably like pinpoint, but this is definitely up there as one of probably the most heartbreaking scenes for Game of Thrones, for sure.
Right, absolutely. I completely agree, man. So this is also the season where Sansa meets her beau.
Yes.
Ramsay Snow. Fuck me, man. Jesus Christ. This guy is brutal.
Talking about villains.
Now that Joffrey's dead. Right, I know. Now that Joffrey's dead, we need a new sort of arch villain. Someone just as fun to watch, man. Like this guy. Like, although, we've seen him torturing poor Theon, this is kind of the season where he kind of comes into his own, because this is also where you get that brutal kind of like sexual assault as well for Sansa. I remember that was very, very topical when that episode dropped. I think it was on the news.
I think it was. I remember seeing it online a lot, like that, because you often get Game of Thrones clickbait articles, but I think the media definitely picked up on this and wanted to have a conversation whether this was okay or not. And I might be wrong, but I feel like Sophie Turner, the actress, even came out to speak about it and say that she agreed with the scene and that she felt safe in it as well. And I'm assuming, obviously, Ewan, the actor, would have made sure of that, And you know what? I'm not a big fan of rape scenes or anything like that in movies or TV. I have to admit, I don't really particularly like it when I do see stuff like that. But I will admit, not that this is a nice thing to see or whatever, but I think it definitely brings us as an audience the perspective of how really evil Ramsay is. And as much as like it's brutal to watch all that kind of stuff, you see why Sansa now in season 7 and probably in season 8, why she is so brutal the way that she is, and why she wants to fight back, and why she wanted Jon so badly to fight against the Boltons as well, because she felt like she was ruined at that point. And I think also the reason, well, my opinion again, is why I feel like she's happy just to stay in the North and be the lady in the North, and probably, again, my opinion, doesn't really want that Iron Throne, because she just wants to go back to how things were and just a simple life as well.
No, I definitely agree. I think I do agree. Rape scenes in film and TV, they're pretty full on, and whilst I wouldn't say, I mean, look, obviously I don't like him. Like, I'm not going to say I like him, but I think where it's warranted, they kind of do have a place. Like as long as, you know, assuming the cast and crew are all comfortable with filming it and shit. But I think this is not only, like you said, to make Ramsay just this evil fucking piece of shit. Don't forget, this is also that kind of era.
Where
that kind of stuff where was a bit more commonplace.
Wasn't necessarily okay, but it was just more or less
right.
normalized.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it definitely wasn't okay, and it was definitely an invasion of fucking privacy and personal space. Jesus, but like, you know, throughout the series of Game of Thrones, you hear the word rape quite a lot.
Yes, yeah.
You hear how these villages get sacked and pillaged, and the women get taken slave and raped. I mean, hell, this honestly, I would even say that this isn't even the first rape scene in the entire series. I'd probably say maybe Daenerys and
definitely
Drogo. Yeah. You know, granted they are married, but I mean, hey, she's literally crying, like, you know. So yeah, definitely a full on scene, definitely a controversial moment in the entire series. But yeah, it was. I think it was necessary, which is kind of controversial.
There's some
to say.
ways you can go about filming it as well, and there's some really like graphic, even sexualized rape scenes that acquire in movies and TV shows, and they didn't go for that graphic sexualized kind of take. It was more or less.
It was like a horror movie.
It was like you were in the point of view of Sansa, and that's where I think where it intensified, because we were seeing everything from Sansa's point of view, and so from that, audiences are scared, they're shocked, they want this to end just as much as Sansa does, all that kind of stuff. So, and it didn't go on for too long as well. It wasn't too like, obviously it was painful to watch, but it wasn't like a whole scene. It was just what it was. This is what goes on. And then from that scene, you never really, like, yes, you see them being violent again, and he is very obviously forward with her, but you never really see that much of a graphic rape scene again between those two as well.
Yep, I definitely agree. Let's move on, shall we?
Let's move on.
So, big moment in the show, man. Daenerys and Tyrion meeting. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
That was awesome. I can't... Do you remember the first moment that they meet?
Isn't he the gift?
That's right.
Travels with Jorah, the explorer.
Jorah.
And
Jorah the Explorer. I haven't heard that one before. That's great.
Are you serious? You haven't heard of Jorah the Explorer?
No, I haven't.
You're welcome. That's my gift to you.
That's fantastic. Oh my god, she comes onto the podcast bearing gifts. Very much like Jorah the Explorer and Tyrion.
Exactly. Yes, I was just like Jorah. Yeah,
that's so right. He was presented as a gift. Yeah.
Yeah, because they had to. They were kind of, oh, fuck, you're taking me back. But yeah, they were captured, and then Tyrion was like, well, wait, I can fight. And so then they went to the fighting pits because they just opened. Jorah hears that she's going to be there, and then so they go and fight. And he kind of fights to be able to see her again, and then he kind of comes on, and then that's how they meet.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada.
Right, that was a good moment, man. That moment of Jorah kind of taking off his helmet.
And because you kind of do think, again, like, you never know with Game of Thrones, like, I kind of did think, oh, they're going to chuck a sneaky and he's going to die right before they meet, kind of thing. So I remember being at the edge of my seat when I first saw that episode.
Absolutely, man. But, like, how awesome are these moments of characters meeting for the first time? Like, these characters, by this point, you've watched this show for 5 years.
And these two have never met, yeah.
No, never met at all. But, I mean, both of them are keenly aware of each other. So, yeah, man, definitely one of the most anticipated scenes of the series. But apparently it didn't happen in the books.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it was in addition to the actual show. But yeah, man,
They meet later,
like the dialogue. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Hey, come on, man! I haven't read the books.
I don't know. We didn't say this disclaimer again, but yeah, we don't read. We don't read fan fiction. We don't read the books. We just watch the TV show. That's enough for me, I think. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So something that happens very early in the show, Grey Worm nearly dying and Sir Barristan bites the dust.
Fuck, I remember screaming at the TV when that happened to Grey Worm. I was like, don't you fucking dare.
Dude, I was, because that fight scene was pretty brutal. Like they're fighting in like this close quarters. And man, I like Sir Barristan. Like, do you remember when he kills that scorpion? Like, you know,
yes, he was again on the rewatch. I was like, holy shit, this guy was like a vital part of the series, and I kind of forgot about him the first watch. But after the rewatch, I was like, that's right, this guy's like been there all the way through for Dany.
Right, because I'd completely forgotten that he got kicked out of the Gold Cloaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he just like went off to serve her. Yeah, crazy.
Right. So where are we? So is this also the season where we get the Valyrian, or was that the end of where they go through Valyria and they got the grayscale? Jorah gets the grayscale.
Jorah gets yes, because he gets that when he meets Dany.
Yes,
because he does it when he's with Tyrion, and they have to go through the
Stone Men.
Yeah, and that's why I thought he was going to die, because I was like, of course, he's so close to her, and he's just going to die right before he sees her.
Yeah, Tommen and Marjorie.
Yes.
Yeah. Marjorie doing the old pedophilia up in here, but yeah. But I mean, like she with Tommen, I love that it's such a drastic change from Joffrey, because he is so malleable. It would
have been really interesting to see how them as a couple would have played out, because she was so like manipulative, and he obviously, like we talked about in the other episode, he's just so malleable. It would have been I would, if anything, they got everything right, the writers and everything like that, but it would have been interesting to see how far she would have gone to manipulate him as well. But I guess that's probably a good thing that they didn't stick around for too long.
Right. And I mean, I was like, Tommen, you have no idea what you have on your hands.
What's going on. I feel like everyone, like, I think that's probably why, maybe, I don't know if they thought about it too much in the show, but why he wasn't really so big in the previous seasons, because it does feel like, oh, who's this guy? He's going to run the kingdom. That's probably how he also felt, like, you know, oh, I've just been like sitting on the, you know, in the background, and then all of a sudden I'm the king. Like, what's going on? So definitely from an audience perspective and the character's perspective, it was like, oh, damn, okay, who's this guy? He's just going to run the kingdom.
Yeah, man. Like that was when Tommen came into it. Like, and I don't mean to like talk much about season 4, but I'm pretty sure we didn't mention it. But I love Tywin kind of like already putting his claws into Tommen straight away. Like literally, Joffrey's lying there at that little funeral thing, and Tywin's already talking about what kind of leader that Tommen should be. It's great. But man, let's talk about one of the biggest moments of the entire season.
Yes.
The Battle of Hardhome.
Oh yes.
Holy shit.
That was, that's up there for me too. It's hard to separate a lot of these battle scenes. But yeah, that one was a good one, because again, the brutality of the Boltons.
Wait, what?
Wait, sorry. I was literally just reading something and talking at the same time. I should not have done that. My bad.
I was like, the Boltons aren't out of Hardhome. So yeah, Hardhome was that. No, that's all right. Hardhome was that just that kind of out of nowhere. So you got Tormund and Jon going to get the rest of the wildlings. They have a massive population over here at Hardhome. And essentially they just get ambushed, man. Like this crazy rush of just, first it's the whites that attack, so the dead. And then like they look up at the cliff and they've got, you see the White Walkers. And this is like that first sort of like, man, the fight scene here between Jon and that White Walker.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And is this correct me if I'm wrong, but is this one of like the first times we've really seen how big the army is? Like, I feel like we've seen, have we? I can't remember, but I feel like we've seen like, bits and pieces, but the impact of like the White Walkers, I feel like, because maybe it was because definitely that fight scene between Jon and the White Walker, you realize how strong and powerful they are as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, we have definitely seen the army before, like, especially when season 2 closes, with Sam kind of like hiding behind that rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we've definitely seen like the scale of the army before, but nothing, like, they're not attacking.
Like in a fight scene, yeah.
Right, nothing like this. Nothing that's as intensely filmed as this, because this was just insane, man. We also get 1-1, who's the giant.
Yeah.
Love that dude, man. Like, his, like, the way they do his effect as well, it's kind of seamless. Yeah.
And especially the way they do the giants too, it's very cool. Like, it's very not like a magical creature or whatever else. It's just like, yep, we've got giants and they're part of our community, and that's the tea.
Right, it's very casual. Like, they don't make it a big thing. I do remember, like, the first time Jon, like, goes into the camp to meet Mance Rayder, he, like, looks at 1-1, or he looks at a giant and he's, like, so totally amazed. But, like, after that, it's like, oh, yeah, this is here too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I love 1-1.
Yeah. Love 1-1, man. But, of course, the Battle of Hardhome is our first kind of, like, I think we've met him before, but our first sort of real look at what the Night King can do.
And that they can actually, like, fight and have the fighting ability, and that they've got, like, these swords, and because you kind of just see them walking around being zombies and kind of thing, but the extent of, like, their strength as well, especially against the wildlings who, are fighters and everything like that too. And there's a lot of wildlings there as well, but they just, like, smash through them, which is very sad to see.
Yeah, it is totally. Like, you got that mother with the 2 kids as well.
Yeah, that was very sad.
But I was getting to, like, the Night King showing off his powers, like, he can resurrect the dead. Like, we already knew that they could resurrect the dead, but
that was crazy.
That shot of, like, Jon, like, escaping on the boat, and the Night King just raises his hands.
Watching it happen, so eerie, hey? Because then you kind of realize how quickly these armies can assemble as well, because that's kind of like a reality check for Jon and for us as an audience to be like, holy shit, this is how they're getting all these people and how they're collecting for the army. It's just, like, that easy and that quick. It's like, bam, like, all these blue eyes staring back at you.
Yeah, like they did. They went through all of this. They defeated so many whites. They killed so many of these things, only for, the wildlings just to come back from the dead. Join the army. Fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
That episode ends with just silence. Like, there's no music.
I loved it because it was like, and this is what Game of Thrones do so well. It's like full intense, like that full, like, there's a politics and it's all about what we're going to do next, and there's all this storyline and everything like that, and then full on fight scenes where it's just like, oh, go, 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 and then it's just like eerie, dead quiet, and you're left thinking about the after effect of what's just happened, and you're just like, oh, it's like a roller coaster of emotions, but in the best way possible, because you've just been through so many different types of emotions, and you've just witnessed so many different types of, like, action scenes. It's great television right there.
It is, because it's totally, like, balanced out, like, it's like binary opposites kind of thing. It's fucking awesome. But let's go over to a smaller yet just as fist pump worthy moment. Arya killing Sir Maren Trant.
Yeah, bitch.
Dude, like, that guy's a creep. Number one.
Yeah.
Oh man, but man, Arya just fucking demolishes him. Do you remember how he dies?
No.
She, like, stabs him in both eyes.
In both eyes, that's right. Yes. I was like, was it the throat?
Just stabbing him until there's nothing left to stab.
Yeah, she, like, goes full out as well. Doesn't just stab him a few times.
She knocks another one off her list, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm. that's when she starts. Is that her first, one of her first kills as well?
Is it her first? I think it might be. Because is that also the reason why when she goes back to the House of the Undying and they're all pissed off at her?
That's what I was literally just thinking. I was like, because that must be, oh, fuck, we did not do our research.
Oh, boy.
I watched this season like 6 months ago, okay? I can't remember everything. A lot goes on.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, I love how this episode is just us trying to rethink what happens in Game of Thrones, and people are just listening to it, but they're like, what the hell? How do these people have a podcast? What's going on?
Well, it's whatever, guys. We just stitched this shit together, so I don't give a shit. But we also get the Sand Snakes down in Dawn.
Yes.
Like that, we're introduced to them this season as well.
The brutal bitches.
Yeah, man, those bitches are crazy. You also get that moment down with Bronn in the prison and, the seduction, I guess.
Yes.
Is this also the season where Cersei's daughter dies?
Oh, I thought it was a bit later.
It might be a bit later. It's not on my list here, so
okay.
I don't know. So
because it's kind of like, yeah. Okay, sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say another big moment is Cersei's walk of shame.
Yes, very big moment.
Jesus Christ!
Like, what's your opinion about that whole, like, the church thing?
That whole plot line? Yeah, I loved it. I didn't like it at first. Yeah, I didn't like it at first, but I like how she kind of like sets this whole thing into motion, and then it just kind of comes back to bite her in the ass in ways that she never knew.
Yeah,
she never saw coming. I love it. And then she kind of has to take even. No, I was just going to say she has to take even bigger like measures to like get rid of that,
Yeah, because I remember like the first watch, I was so frustrated with it. Like I remember because obviously when you're watching it week by week, and when those scenes came up, I was just like, oh my God, we get it. Like she's in prison because she like slept with her brother and stuff like that. Like I remember the first time I watched it, I just I wasn't a big fan of it. And then the rewatch again, because I had that preconception of like, oh, I'm not going to like this again. I tried to like really get into it, and I understood it a lot more. Like I understood why they go through this thing, because she's all trying to do it by the book, and then it bites her on the ass and all that kind of stuff. And again, like I still, it's not my favorite part of the series, but I understand why they did it. I just get a little bit irritated that it took so long. It was like pretty much the whole majority of the season. But then in hindsight, I guess because she like went through all that, and she's pretty much like, I don't know if she is suffering from PTSD or she was traumatized from it or anything like that. But once she came back from that, like, if you thought she was brutal before, she gives no fucks now. Like, she feels like no one gives a shit for her. Everyone's against her. So she's got to, like, now collect her clan of people that she can only trust. And, like, she just wants to fuck everything else. Like, once she comes back, she openly, like, has, intimacy with Jamie, and she's very much more, like, open to who she is, because she just really, like, doesn't give a fuck anymore. And, like, I get it in that sense that it's now because of that whole thing, she's even more brutal than she was before, if that's possible.
Right. No, I totally agree. I like it, especially like you hit the nail on the head, because watching it, kind of binge watching it and not watching it week by week just makes you realize so many more things, and just kind of like helps you see it from a whole different angle and like what the showrunners were going for. Yeah, no, I just burped. Oh, that's dinner. But man, like I love the moment when she like kind of realizes that she's in some shit, because Lancel just comes like slinking out of the background, and it's fantastic. I love this. I do it honestly. On my rewatch, it was one of my favorite sort of like subplots. Okay. Yeah, it just grew on me so much. Because I also like Jonathan Pryce, the guy that plays the High Sparrow. I just think he's got this, even though he says he's doing this, for the gods and for the Seven, it
like there's something evil in there.
Yeah, it seems like he's getting this joy out of it.
Something
like,
sinister,
yeah. So episode 9 and 10 was some pretty big shit. So we covered Hard Home already, but episode 10 had Daenerys taking flight on Drogon.
Yeah.
from the fighting pits. Man, that was fucking awesome because that fighting pit sequence, that was huge. Like just the Sons of the Harpy just come out of nowhere. It's this massive battle. I do love the way that kind of kicks off as well because you get Jorah like throwing the spear, and you think for a second he's going to throw it at Dany, and it just goes straight past her and into one of the one of the harpies. But yeah, man, like this ends in an awesome fucking triumphant scene where Drogon just comes to the rescue after being missing for ages, right?
Yeah.
And the CG here, man, is fucking outstanding. Like just the way
really
he
crazy.
Tortures these guys, dude. Oh, love it, man. Love it. I think that might be it for season 5,
God.
right?
Season 5?
Like, that's season 5, right?
Well, season 5 also. Wait, we're up to season 5.
Yeah, we were just talking about season 5.
Well, yeah. Well, John also like tries to like.
Fuck!
I was like,
shit,
I don't think I finished.
How did I forget? How did I forget? Dude, John dies.
Because I was like, I think I'm missing the final part.
Holy shit! How did I forget that? Yeah, man, John dies because of. Well, it's a mutiny, essentially.
Well, yeah, because he tries to. This was my like favorite storyline because I love this shit, like the whole like politics of like whatever, and then John's such the underdog, and then he comes to save the day and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, yeah, it was great, and oh god, what a shock though that they did this because like yes, they were killing people like off like nearly every season or whatever, but up to this point they haven't killed like a major character since like when did Ned die? Did Ned die in season 1?
Season 1, yeah.
So it's been like 4
probably the Red
seasons.
Wedding.
So it's like, you know, this was and you've seen these characters from the beginning as well. So it was a big shock to the system. I remember it went on for months, like, did Jon really die or is he going to come back? And rewatching it, it's like, holy shit, like he bled out. Like he is dead, right? Like he is like stone cold dead. Like the blood was dripping. It was so deep and thick and he went cold. Like, and they ended the whole series there. Like the fucking balls that they had to do that. What little shits.
Totally. Like just insane, man. And fucking Ollie, like right at the end, man. Like he's because you get like these moments of like Jon actually training Ollie.
Yeah. But you do like as much as what a fucking shit of a kid. But like you gotta get like from his perspective as well, like the wildlings killed his family and then he came here and this guy's like, no, we need to join the wildlings, and he's like what, supposed to be like 10 or something like that? I don't know.
So this has nothing to do with Game of Thrones and this has no business of being on the podcast, but this is breaking news, it's world news. Julian Assange has been arrested.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, at the Ecuadorian embassy. It's breaking now. I don't know. This is going to live forever on the podcast. I just, like, my phone just vibrated and I just checked the news. I mean, like, that's pretty big news. So I was just like, let's just chuck this in here. But
that's crazy.
Got nothing to do with Game of Thrones.
Well, it's Australian headline news right here.
Yeah.
Getting a little insight.
Yeah, of course. There is one more thing that actually does happen in season 5. Dude, my man Sam gets some from Gilly. He gets it. Yeah, hey. But that's about it, man. There was actually one of my favorite moments in this entire season was very small. So on the way to Dawn, Jaime sees the Isle of Tarth and he thinks of Brienne.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so like quiet and it's just so quick, but it's like think about where Jaime and Brienne like started. Like literally Jaime was captive.
Yeah.
Brienne's captive. So I don't know, man, it's just one of my favorite.
What do you think of their relationship? What's your like perception of these two?
I don't think there's anything there sexually.
Romantically, yeah.
I think that's going to happen with Brienne and Tormund, if anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I feel like the showrunners are finally going to give the audience what they want in something.
I don't know. I feel like Brienne is very, like, I don't see her as a sexual person at all. She's probably just a bit, like, asexual. Her mind's, like, more on the job kind of thing.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I would prefer if that character didn't do anything. Because she's portrayed as this like strong female character, and like when they actually did start bringing in some romance for her, I was just like, I wasn't really into it because it's like you're kind of like going against what you've set up with this with this awesome character.
But I totally do think they have this like really big like respect for each other, and they've gone through a lot of shit together, so that's like something that they'll never lose, I guess. I don't know what that relationship is like, but I think it's just like they've been through stuff that no one else obviously can relate to, and so that's all they have for each other. And it's probably like a very, I wouldn't say it's sexual, but they definitely love each other. And I think because these are two people who don't have a great idea of what love and affection is, they don't know what to do with that feeling. And so it gets a bit like weird. So those weird moments where, they are like being somewhat romantic to each other, it kind of comes across as like, oh, this is romantic. But it's just because, like, I guess they both don't have really people that are close to them as well. But they both have somewhat understanding of each other too. It's a very weird, odd relationship, but I get it.
I get it too. It's just kind of like this mutual trust. Like, I mean, you've got that episode, The Bear and the Maiden Fair.
Yeah.
Which is where basically Jaime just turns around and saves Brienne, which is awesome. And
they don't and the fact that I like the fact that they know that each other have a different point of view and they aren't afraid to dispute that kind of thing in a very like, I wouldn't say mature, but a very close, intimate way. Like when, and we'll get to it a bit later, but I guess also when, Cersei kind of says, no, we're not going to fight the White Walkers. And so Jaime walks off and Brienne kind of runs up to Jaime and is like, you need to change this, this is serious stuff kind of thing. And that kind of intimate moment is kind of like, it's not just for her to be like, are you stupid? Like, what are you doing, you idiot? It's more or less her being like, Jaime, I know you know what's right. You need to convince her otherwise kind of thing. So they definitely have respect and love for each other, but I don't think it's very romantic love at all.
I'm really hoping that they don't go that way.
Yeah.
Really hoping. So that's season 5, dude. Ends on a fucking cliffhanger and a half, doesn't it?
What a showstopper. And they left us for like 9 months or something, not knowing what was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
But then they start off season 6 like right there. So I guess they redeem themselves.
Yeah, so let's get into season 6. So obviously the big one is Jon Snow coming back from the dead, right?
Whoa, what a short-lived little...
It was like one of the worst kept secrets in television, dude. Like it was like everyone knew it. I mean, like you have Melisandre who's at Winterfell, and like we know that the Lord of Light has the ability to kind of revive people. Like we've met Beric Dondarrion already, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't much of a surprise. This, honestly, is one of my least favorite sort of moments on Game of Thrones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it wasn't like a little bit like corny and not so much like it was a little bit fairy tale.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong. It's not that it was fairy tale. I mean, I love when the moment happened. I love when he died in season 5 at the end there.
Yeah.
But when he comes back in this, it's just like so immediate. It's like episode 2, I believe. But it just feels so immediate. Like it's like, let's give them one episode to actually make them believe that Jon's dead. And then when he does come back, it's just like, I don't know. Because like you kind of get the sense that, the Lord of Light changed him in some way, but I don't think they've played that fully yet.
We don't know, do we? We don't know yet. If they ever are. Yeah.
If they ever are. Like, I feel like they haven't given us enough clues for that, though.
Well, then, but have they given us, like, what about, sorry, you just said his name, but what about the other guy that's come back to life?
Oh, Beric.
Does he have like some ability that we know of? Like, yeah, they can make fire, but that's because they're the follow the Lord of Light, whatever. But yeah, I reckon that will come, if anything, if John has some special ability or whatever else, I reckon we'll find out in season 8. But I really liked it. I liked the fact that, you know, I'm a bit of a sucker for that kind of thing. Like, they left us hanging for a little bit, and then they ended episode 1 of him like breathing, waking up, and that's how it ended. And God, I love that shit. Like, yeah, you freaking tease me like that. You freaking annoy me until I have to watch it next week. I love that shit. And I love it because it was just John, and I think it was just John and Ghost in the room.
Right.
And then that's when he woke up, and they really held you because it was like she tried it didn't really work, and everyone's kind of like standing around waiting and looking, and so you as a viewer, you're kind of like, oh, he dead, like he ain't coming back, like he's been pouring out blood for like 4 hours, and now he's been lying on this table. He was lying on a table for so long, like if you remember, like, because they're all like trying to get back and there's a mutiny going on, and meanwhile like John's just lying on the table as all of this is going on, and Davos is like, well, you're gonna have to fight, and like this is, I don't even know how long in real time that was supposed to be, but it's got to be at least like 24 to 48 hours worth, or even 72 hours worth of a dead body just lying on the table, and then all of a sudden he comes back to life.
I think it works in the short term, like that definitely, I mean, like, it's awesome when you see it. Like, it's a good, like, celebratory moment. But, like, my question is, like, you know, and sure, you know, recording this before season 8 drops, my question is, like, how does it fit into the overall sort of story? Because, I mean, having John die... I'm sure they'll
fit it in.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Like, having John die and then come back, it's a massive...
Oh, really? You don't know how that's already, like affected the rest of the series? I think it's heavily affected John's character and his importance to the show, because, like, okay, so then he woke up from that. He obviously, like, left the watch and all that kind of stuff, and he went, you know, the whole thing happened with, like, you know, Boltons and blah, blah. But, like, the fact that he's, like, people have seen him die and, like, relived and all that kind of stuff, and like Davos now has got this like big respect for him, and now, you know, he's like this humble, it is the story of like the underdog, and like the fact that, you know, he's fought so hard in like what is right, and like Davos said, he literally died for the sake of civilization so that everyone could live. Like, he put his life on the line. He put himself in danger so they could defeat the White Walkers. Like, that's how far he was willing to go to risk his own life for everyone else's. And I think that's why Dany even, like, maybe fell in love with him even more, was because he's serious. He really wants to save civilization. He is the epitome of, like, the good guy, if you could say. Yeah, and so Dany, I think, seeing all of his scars or whatever else, even if she thought it was, like, a bit of a story or a myth before, I think once she sees those scars that I don't know if she fully knows that he actually did die yet or not, but, you know, she probably saw that, okay, something serious has happened. He's risked his life for this. I believe in this cause. Like, yes, she's seen the White Walkers now, but I think also that's why she really, like, has this love for him, because he wants the same things really that she wanted to do as well. So I think it's definitely heavily affected the character of Jon Snow and his importance and his drive to be who he is now.
Yeah,
Rant
look, I
over.
do. I do agree, and I think honestly, I think there are. I think that is going to be paid off soon as well, because now that I think about it, there were moments when Melisandre was talking to him, and, you know, he did. She says to him, you know, the Lord of Light brought you back for a reason, right?
And that's why she went to visit Dany as well, to be like, look, this Jon Snow guy, he's legit, bro.
He's Jesus. Yeah.
I feel like maybe, I don't know, but maybe that's what she's doing. She's spreading that, like, Jon Snow's going to be the king. I don't really know what she's doing. I feel like she's definitely going to come back in a big way. But I feel like she's definitely going to try and push Jon as, like, you know, the Lord of the Light kind of thing.
Right. Speaking of Melisandre, this is also the season where we find out that she's old as shit, right?
Is it? Oh, yeah. That was a freaky scene.
I was like, man, like wow, I forgot to put on her makeup, hey?
Damn. I need
Yeah.
to put makeup everywhere.
No, Jesus. Yeah, but that was good. I love that reveal.
Yeah.
Because, like, I like getting more on Melisandre.
Yeah, because I remember thinking, like, who is, because we don't really see, okay, other than the demon baby as well, before John, we don't really see too much of, like, the magic or, like, you know, the power, whatever you want to call it, of, like, what she talks about all the time. Like, we don't really, because, you know, even when the Hound looks into the fire and you see, and he's like, I see it and whatever, and you kind of, as an audience, you don't see that kind of stuff. So there's only been little bits here and there of, like, her power, what you will. So I think her in herself being like this, God, I keep using like really like fairy tale, mythical, and all these kind of words that I don't like. But
well, that's Game of Thrones. It might as well be like an R-rated fairy tale.
Yeah, I hate it because it's so much more than that. But you know what I mean? Like, you see her, like the fact that she can actually have that ability for herself, and she's kept herself how old, who she really is, all that kind of stuff. So you're kind of like, okay, this bitch is the shit. She does have some tools in her tool shed that she can use, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. I do like that because, like, the first time we see her, she's burning motherfuckers on a beach. So
yeah.
All right. I'm gonna hold that one to the end because I love that. Euron Greyjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy! So new big bad, Euron Greyjoy, man, kills his brother, fucking throws him off the bridge.
Yeah.
Before taking his kingdom, right? The Iron Islands. This guy is intense.
Yeah. Great acting, but yeah, villain.
Great acting. I can't wait to see more of him though.
Yeah, I feel like he's doing something.
He's a little underdeveloped right now. Right? Yeah. Sam goes to Old Town. So on John's orders, Sam went home to Highgarden with his lover Gilly.
Love that, by the way. I actually really liked that little storyline because I remember at first being like, oh, this is going to be boring. We're just going to see him reading. But the way that they shot it and the way that they filmed it over like viewing as a period of time, great piece of directing and DOP work there. I really loved how they did Sam's. Yeah.
For sure. I mean... is this the season that starts with the shit?
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah.
Are you sure? I think that's season 7.
Yeah, either way, it was fucking great. Yeah, season 7 because he's like, I've fucking had enough of this shit. I'm out.
Yeah.
But I feel like I really like Sam's story after he left the war. He really got into his own. Yeah.
I do too, for sure. I mean, like, even, basically kind of telling his father to fuck off.
Oh, and he's got the sword now.
He's got the sword. He's got the sword. Daenerys meets up with Theon and Yara. They team up, essentially.
So random.
Right, so random, but
again,
I kind of
like these people that you just thought would never meet, and now like all these worlds are starting to collide now, and you're like, okay, shit's gonna go down now. All these people are meeting, the world's getting smaller. It's happening.
Right, and I love like the terms that Yara gives Daenerys. Right, like we'll join your cause, we'll give you ships if after you conquer Westeros, you let the Iron Islands become sovereign. Right?
Yeah.
Love it. I love that kind of politics, dude. I always love that shit.
I like the politics talk. It's good.
Absolutely. So Arya returns to Westeros. This is with Frey. Holy shit. We don't get the full-on family Frey. Like, she hasn't taken Frey's sort of like position yet, but this is the moment where he feeds Frey. Sorry, she feeds Frey the pie.
Oh, such a great episode, that one. So good. That whole episode, actually, I really liked. It was just jam-packed of good stuff.
Totally, dude. Because Cersei also sits on the Iron Throne. Mm-hmm. Man, like that episode 10, I believe, I can't remember what it's called. Was it the Dance with Dragons. Oh, I don't know. It was a title. It was a book title. Winds of Winter. I don't know. I can't remember. But then that shit, like, it starts off with like a 10-minute like musical sort of like theme. And again, man, got to give it to Ramin Djawadi for his score because it is outstanding. But yeah, essentially, like, we get the whole, in the basement. They've got the dragon fire, and she just blows that shit to Kingdom Come. We lose like a lot of the cast. We lose Marjorie. We lose Renly. What's the brother's name again? The Knight of Flowers. Fuck.
You literally I had it, and then as soon as you were like, "What's his name?" I was just like, "Oh yeah, what is his name?" Yep,
Loris.
Loris. So I was like, L. Loris. Yes.
Yeah. We lose Loris. We lose Mace. So yeah, man, that is massive. We also lose Tommen.
Yeah.
A little bit of collateral damage from old Cersei there. Cersei, Jesus.
Cersei.
You
said it so Aussie there.
Australia.
Cersei.
But let's get to, I mean, like, look, that episode is awesome, that final episode, but let's get to probably the biggest episode of the season.
Yeah?
Man, directed by Miguel Sapochnik. Man, this guy.
Series episode that ever graced television ever.
The Battle of the Bastards.
Ugh.
Fuck.
TV gold.
Hit me, Joe.
I don't even know where to start, mate. I just remember watching it and just being amazed by, like, I am watching this for free. Like, I'm watching this, like, I didn't have to pay for it. I didn't have to sign up for anything. I didn't have to invest in whatever. I'm watching this on my TV. This is free entertainment, and this is, like, a gold class. Like, it was just amazing. I'm sorry, but even if you're not really into, like, war or like, I feel like every single thing was justified in this episode. Every single thing. There's everything. There's politics. There's the whole from the beginning, the tension. Oh my goodness. This is something that Game of Thrones do really, really well, and I think we've talked about in the previous episode, but the tension that Game of Thrones builds is like no other like movie or television show I've ever experienced. It's like from the very first moment that like these two sides are on the same field together, you just feel it. You feel it straight away. Like as soon as you see the Boltons and they're there and you see Jon come out, and then you see what's his name? Not Bran.
Rickon.
Oh my god. And Rickon's like running, and Jon's like, oh my god, my brother. And then Rickon is just the sheer, like, his face is like, there's a bit of hope there, but he's also so fucking scared too. And he's just running. And poor Jon, he just saw his sister that he hasn't seen in like years, and he finally sees another family member, and this is where innocent Jon comes out, and Sansa's warned him, and this is where we kind of see too, Sansa's got her wits now, because she's even said like Rickon's dead, like just forget about him, he's long gone, like he's non-existent anymore, and Bolton is going to use a trick and he's going to capture you. Do not fall for his games. And what does Jon do? Rickon is out there running for his life, and Jon comes out in the middle of the field to save his brother, and then Bolton takes out his arrows and starts shooting. And you kind of, I don't know if it was like meant to be this way, but I definitely think the first few shots that Bolton took were obviously misses as well.
He missed on purpose, dude.
Yeah, you get that kind of sense of obviously that he's missing on purpose, but then when he wants to shoot, yeah.
We know how good he is at archery.
Exactly. So it gives both of them hope. And then right when Jon's like in the middle of the field, dead, gone. And then, but I just love it too.
I love the way that's shown, because we like all of the arrows that Ramsay's fired up to that point, we've seen him draw and fire.
Yes.
Whereas that last one, we never see him draw and fire it. We don't know there's another one coming. It's just a total surprise.
Yeah. It's the whole scene of this is just so beautiful in its most tragic way as well, because then the shots that are that they're showing you too, you really get the sense of how much danger John is in as well, because all of a sudden you get like, you know, there's this close up of John and his face when you realize that Rickon's like been shot, been hit, and then you get this like kind of pan of how far away he is and how close he is to the Boltons and how just alone he is in this field. But I love that he's just like, well, fuck this, I'm going to die. Let's just go out fighting. And my most favorite piece of, again, television or this whole series is when he draws that sword.
Yes.
And all the Boltons are coming towards him. All these horses are coming towards him. And it's kind of slow-mo. And you just get this backdrop kind of silhouette kind of like of a Stark boy, because he's got his hair now in that like, you know, Ned Stark kind of way. He's got all these like, his armor looks very Stark-esque. And is just like this image of a Stark fighting the Boltons, and then that collision of just like the two sides coming together. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, Zoe. It's
so
great.
Awesome, dude. So awesome. I think Sapochnik just directed this so well. I actually just looked up Miguel Sapochnik. So he's directed a few episodes of Game of Thrones. Dude, he's directed 4 altogether. 3 of them are rated 9.9 on IMDb. They are Hard Home, incredible. Battle of the Bastards, incredible. And the next episode is the Winds of Winter. So incredible.
And I think we obviously don't know what episodes he's directing next season, but he's directing.
I do. He's got, yeah, because I'm fucking know-it-all, dude.
Oh, soz. See, I purposely don't read this stuff, though, because I really just want to be like, I don't know anything. Let's just watch it kind of thing.
Well, he's directing 2. He's directing episode 3 and 5. So you can kind of assume.
Shit's going to go down.
Yeah, you're going to kind of assume that shit's going to go down with those 2. So, yeah, man, Battle of the Bastards was an incredible achievement for TV, I think. It was just so intense. It was just this massive sort of like Lord of the Rings battle.
It was crazy too. And what I love about it too is we've had battles at this point, but obviously this is the most brutal one as well. And again, you get to see that firsthand because you get John's point of view, and a lot of it you see it from John's point of view, and it's just carnage. Like there's literally everyone everywhere. Every turn that he takes, someone's fighting him or fighting one of his comrades, and it's just like horses everywhere, bodies everywhere, and for a second he's kind of like trying to catch his breath or something like that, or he's just like looking around, and it's just like carnage. There's just people.
It's all done in one take. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's crazy. And then obviously the pile up of people, how they did that was just like
so
genius.
Awesome. Yeah.
Just genius. Like you can't watch battle scenes now. After watching this episode, you can't watch battle scenes now and just have people fighting. You know what I mean? Like I feel like now whenever I watch like a battle scene and people don't like, even if it's like from Vikings or something like that, it's like, how didn't you have a plan? Like how did you like, because obviously like this was majorly planned by the Boltons. I think, you know, whether or not they knew, but they kind of had this like, okay, there's going to be a massive pile up or, you know, something they're going to, because they came in from all ends and kind of cornered them in, and how they did that was pretty genius on the Boltons end kind of thing. You know, you really had them cornered there. They were all in that circle and they all had their spears. And they're all kind of like closing in on everyone in the circle. And then you can kind of see how big the Bolton army was, and then how vulnerable all the, I guess, leftovers you could see in the middle
north.
There. Yeah. And it's just like, holy shit. And I think it was it Tormund who was just like, he kind of got his sword and kind of started hitting them a bit, and they were kind of poking back. And did he or someone else get a bit stabbed because of that? Can't remember.
I don't think he did. I can't fully remember.
Not like seriously stabbed, but like I think someone got poked or something like that, and that's when you kind of thought, oh, okay, they're not just poking them, they're kind of like really stabbing them, kind of thing. And then I think it
fully remember because I know Baelish's army.
And then Baelish, they came
commanding the army of the Vale. But it's also like, why didn't Sansa tell Jon?
I think, and look, this we'll talk about in season 7 too.
Yeah.
I think she was still holding her cards close to her chest at this point.
Was. Yeah.
She was still figuring out who to trust, because I think, especially at that point, she had trusted so many people and they had done her wrong. You kind of see that in season 7 where John goes, "You need to tell me stuff," kind of thing, and I think she probably realized it then, but I think also she had a complicated relationship with Lloyd Baelish, and I think that's probably why she was just trying to keep it maybe intimate to some degree. So it was like, so Sansa was asking on behalf of her as well.
Yeah,
not so much for John. Yeah.
I'm with you. Fun fact, Miguel Sapochnik is directing his first movie, starring Tom Hanks. It actually sounds pretty interesting. It's called BIOS. It's out in 2020. Let me read you the plot.
Yeah, go for it.
On a post-apocalyptic Earth, a robot built to protect the life of his dying creator's beloved dog learns about life, love, friendship, and what it means to be human. That sounds fucking great. And I'll watch anything from Tom Hanks, man. I love that guy. Yeah,
I'll watch anything from Milo, so I'll watch it.
For sure. But yeah, man, so that episode ends with the death of 1-1, unfortunately, but also the death of Ramsay.
Scene. Yes, that scene was great too. And because you kind of see 1-1, because John kind of awakes from the crowd, like you really think he's going to suffocate to
trance,
death.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he kind of sees Bolton. Does he see Bolton not running off, but like moving off kind of thing? And that's where I think he just gets this like fuel in his fire, and he's just like, nah, fuck this. And so 1-1, Tormund and him just run to the castle, and that is just great. And again, you have to, like, obviously, again, because John has died for the sake of the wildlings, I think that is definitely a reason why 1-1, because you got to think, why does 1-1 care, kind of thing.
Right. Why does he care about the North? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's because and I didn't really, I got this on the first watch, but on the rewatch, it's more like I really understood it more. It's because the Boltons threatened that they were going to kill all the wildlings. So it was pretty much like, kill all the Boltons now, or they'll kill you later, kind of thing. So I think that's another reason why, obviously, the wildlings wanted to fight for John, was because there was either they were going to fight them later or they're going to fight them with the Night's Watch army. So that's probably why they did it. And so 1-1's just like, all right, well, I'm just going to kill this bastard who said he's going to threaten my whole tribe. And because I remember at first being like, why does 1-1 care so much? We needed 1-1 obviously to be in that scene to break the door. Like, from a directing point of view, I get why they needed 1-1, but it's got to be a reason, right? You got to have, why does 1-1, yes, to break down the door, but from an emotional point of view, why does 1-1 have to be there? And I remember thinking like, oh, it's because this guy threatened to kill all of his whole family and everything like that. So that's why 1-1's there, which was, on the rewatch, I was like, oh, interesting. R.I.P. 1-1.
You put a lot of thought into 1-1's.
I'm like 1-1. I was very sad when he died. It was very brutal.
Fucking goes brutally, man. But he held in there, didn't he?
And that just goes to show how strong the giants are, and how scary it will be now that they're on the dark side.
Oh, the dark side of the Force. What do you think about Ramsay's death?
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I really liked how Sansa got to do the final say, and that it was the dogs.
Yeah, because they set that up. She's like, you said them yourself. You said it yourself. You hadn't fed them in a week. It
kind of goes to show too that, as much as these dogs were his pride and joy, but they have no, they would kill him in a second because it's all primal as well.
Yeah, totally. But that's season 6. Am I forgetting anything big, Joe? Actually, I think I might be. Jon Snow's parents. We find out about his lineage, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wait, do we?
Yeah, because we don't get the full kind of reveal. We get that at the end of season 6, but we find out that Rhaegar and Lyanna are the real parents of Jon Snow.
Yes, I think we do. Yeah. Because he's sitting. Because this is another thing that I like about Game of Thrones. They have the big battle scenes, but then they have the politics that follows afterwards, which is what I really like. It doesn't just end at the brutality. It's kind of like, okay, it's ended, now what? And I like that they do the now what kind of thing. And that's how it ends, isn't it? It's like that zoom in on John's face, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. It just kind of like transitions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's all good. How did I go past this, dude? I can't move on from this season without talking about this. Hodor.
Yeah.
God damn it!
God damn it!
It makes me so sad all the time, man. Like the way they pulled that off, man. It was just, it was intense. It was intense.
Very brutal. Very, very brutal scene.
Just gut wrenching, man. Because it also kind of like makes you question what Bran's capable of, as well. So, and like, if he can go back and affect the past to affect the future, it's weird.
It's so sad too, because you realize that I remember I definitely cried in this scene over, and because you realize how Hodor's life has been dedicated to Bran, and that for like however long, like 30 years, this guy has been dedicated to help Bran. And that he had this, like, he thought that this boy has so much meaning. I've got to help him. I've got to be there for him all the step of the way. And so, yeah, you're like, okay, you fucking killed Hodor.
Wait, how'd you get 30 years?
I don't know. However old Hodor is. How old do you reckon Hodor is?
But, I mean, Bran's younger.
Oh.
Bran's like 14, right? Or something? I don't know. I mean, like, how's it gonna protect Bran when Bran's not even born yet?
well, because he had that fit when he was like 13?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's weird how he has the fit, but he has the fit because of Bran being there already, who's not born. So it is strange how Bran's kind of like three-eyed raven powers work.
Yeah, it's very crazy. Yeah, and I'm keen to see more about how Bran, sorry, I'm just thinking. I'm like,
No. Because it also like there's also that weird theory that Bran is the Night King, but I don't subscribe
I don't believe that.
Yeah. No.
That's shit.
No. Yeah.
Have you? When people say that, it's like, have you watched the series?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's just too much to go against that theory. And, like, there's no credible evidence to support it.
It's like, oh, they look the same. It's like, what? No.
Fuck off. Yeah, no.
Nah, I definitely don't think so. And then, why would he kill himself? Like, again, there's probably, like, all these theories to back that. But, no, I don't believe it at all.
Right, exactly. I believe we're done with season 6.
Dun, dun, dun.
Da, da, da. Moving on to season 7, the most recent season, and wow, man.
What a crazy season 7 is, though.
Dude, so chock full of massive moments.
I feel like this is where, like, and what is so good about Game of Thrones is this is where all the previous seasons matter because of the storyline that happens in season 7.
Yeah, man. I definitely agree. Like it all just kind of like you kind of get that feeling that it's all coming to a close.
Yeah.
Like because season 7 episode 1 ends with Daenerys arriving at Dragonstone. And dude, I love her arrival. It's just all silent. She's just like, her and her squad's just looking at it, and they're all just taking it in. And you got Ramin Djawadi's score, like, love it. It's so fucking exciting, dude.
Good shit.
Good shit. So Jon goes to meet Daenerys. That first meeting, it's kind of like a dick measuring moment.
But again, it's like these people have been here since season 1, episode 1, and now they're finally meeting in season 7. So you definitely are feeling like, okay, shit's happening now because it's got to this point.
Yeah.
These two greats are meeting.
Yeah, but it's also like, do you reckon that they're kind of like taking Dany in this direction of like she's kind of slowly becoming her father, the Mad King?
I think definitely I would say that she has like the very a reactive attitude, like instead of think about her actions, she's definitely reactive. I don't know if she'd go as far as the Mad King would, but then again, you do see, like, again, her reactive responses, like when she burns what's left of the Night's Watch that don't stand for her, and when she's like, oh, I just want to, like, ride my dragons and burn them all. Like, she says, like, a few things that you're kind of like, oh, it's a bit aggressive. But to actually, I think it's also a good thing that Tyrion is with her and that they do have that talk as well. When he definitely talks her off ledges a lot, but I don't know if she'd be as brutal as the Mad King. And I also think now with her relationship with Jon, he's reminding her how to be good as well, because I think she's obviously starving for this kingdom and this, like, to be on the throne and all this kind of stuff. But I think along the way, and it would be hard to keep track of your mission because she has to be political as well, and the easy response is just I'll just kill everyone. But I think Jon and Tyrion influencing her to do the good and for the people hopefully won't lead her to be like the Mad King, I don't think.
Yeah, there are moments in this season where it's just like I feel I want to believe that Jon and Tyrion are leading her, back into the light. But I feel like, man, like because you also have that moment where she tortures what's left of the Tarly family.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's crazy. Like they're definitely setting something up with Daenerys. Like whether it's something like, she has too much power now, she has to be kind of ripped down. She's too confident.
Yeah, you still have to show that she's powerful, because I think if you show her as like a goody two shoes like Jon, then because sometimes Jon is too good, you know what I mean? Like he's too Prince Charming or whatever else. Whereas I think having a complicated character is hard. It's hard to write, and it's hard. You understand why not everyone would like her for the Queen. So it's a complicated. I think they're maybe trying to make her a bit more complicated. So because that's what people are, they're flawed kind of thing. It's easy to write a likable character and a villain, but to write someone who's somewhat, I wouldn't say in between the two, but is not definitely one of them, is probably it's harder to write, and it's harder for us as an audience to connect to. But that's what's good about it, We are like we're trying to figure her out still, and we are thinking about her, talking about her, like, why did she do that? Why did she do that? So she has these like not predictable tendencies to a degree, and I think that probably makes her interesting to watch. Because if we knew what she was going to do next, it wouldn't be as interesting. But because we don't know what she's going to pull out next, like, is she going to kill this person? Like, is she not going to kill this person? Is she just going to like run into King's Landing with her dragon and just burn everyone? Like, what is she going to do? So I think that's probably a good thing that she has those kind of tendencies, but hopefully to her credit as well.
Well, remember, like, she originally wanted to march on King's Landing, right? But Tyrion was like, no, you're not going to rule Westeros by burning its fucking burning its cities.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she definitely is a character who, like, I feel like it's a bit late for her to start learning.
Fair enough.
I feel like we've missed that opportunity. I feel like...
do you reckon she's got too much vengeance now? She wants to prove too many people wrong? Yeah,
that's exactly what I was about to say. I feel like the world has beaten her so much and so harshly that she's just swung the entire other opposite direction. So that's just my opinion. I have a feeling that's where that's going to go, because, I mean, look, Jon is part Targaryen as well. Yeah. I don't think there'll be two Targaryens here by the end of the show. It'll be one or it'll be none. Let's just see how it goes. But they go. Fucking hell, they grow pretty close.
Just a bit.
I can't talk. Yeah, just a bit. We're not up to that yet. Well, we'll get to that. But essentially, this is, we find out that the dragon glass is basically all under Dragonstone, and they mine that shit. Yeah. But I do love Jon trying to convince Dany that the White Walkers existed at one point, right?
Yeah.
Like the cave underground and the drawings. Yeah.
It was very like seductive for John's part. Like he's very
It
not
was.
like, yeah, he's not very a seductive type of person, but I feel like he was definitely, I don't know whether he was doing that to be like, to convince her, like to drag her in and to make her listen, to be all like, you know, that close and like pointing over her shoulder and all that kind of stuff. It was quite like, you know, was he manipulating her to a degree? He knows what works for her, maybe.
Well, it's definitely one of those moments in the show where I was just like, moments in the season where I was just like, oh man, they're gonna make these two characters bone, aren't they? Like they're going to. That's the direction they're going in.
Yeah, here we go.
It happening. Here we go.
You went wrong.
No. While we're here, let's just talk about it. I'm not a fan of this.
You're not a fan of the pairing? I have no idea what to expect. Like, because
Neither do I.
Do you reckon it's just going to be a one-off, like, oh, that was fun, and then they're just never going to talk about it again? They're going to go about their business?
No, there'll be more here for sure, I think.
Do you reckon they'll still do it once Bran and or Sam tell them? Would it be like, oh my God, we can't be together, but I love you?
Hey, the first episode introduces us to incest, so
you never know. But do you reckon it's love?
I think it is, to a degree, yeah. I think it is for sure. I mean, like, but they haven't really known each other for long, but they do admire each other.
Yeah.
I just don't think, like, it happens way too quickly. I was not really a fan of how quick it happened. Because don't forget, that's a big complaint about this season.
That everything was happening so quickly.
Everything was happening so quickly. Everyone is traveling to the other side of the continent very quickly. Yeah. Look, I'm going to be honest, those things aren't really a big issue for me, really. Same. I can draw that. I can like brush that off, but I can see where people are coming from. They're like, you know, it in season 2, it took or season 3, like, to travel from the Wall to John, like to Mance Rayder's camp, like it took almost a season. So,
but there's story there. Because there was story there. If there wasn't story there in the travel, then okay, just cut it, kind of thing. And we did, you know, you kind of do see that some, like to a degree in some of the earlier seasons, like when people are traveling, like if there's no like big storyline there, it's just like, okay, we got there kind of thing. But like Sam, for example, you know, you saw him traveling a lot because you had to visit his family and see him like getting along with his family and how that went, and then like leaving, all that kind of stuff. But you know, I get how obviously it was probably a bit of a comparison, but you know, they had other things to spend their money on this season.
Notably, fucking Spoils of War, that episode. Jesus Christ, man, that was insane. So this was not directed by Miguel Sapochnik, but it might as well have, because it kind of bears like some striking resemblance to the Battle of the Bastards. It was kind of like the I don't know what it was called, but the one with Stannis as well, because it was kind of like the ships in the night kind of scenario. Yes, Blackwater. Yes, sorry. Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely was like that, because like, you know, you get this unseen force, and then like first you hear the Dothraki, and then you like the Dothraki come over the hill. And I remember watching it with my dad again, and my dad's like, I thought there was a dragon here. And then he's like, oh, yes, there is. But I love the way the Dothraki fight as well, man. Like this is like the first time you actually see them kind of like just go horde mode really against go at men. It. Yeah. And I love that, because is it here where Jaime's like, never fight the Dothraki in an open field, or he says something like that, never meet the Dothraki. And you're just like, yeah, because you're about to find out why. And then it's just like brutal. Exactly. But then Danny fucking rides in, dude, and starts torching motherfuckers. Like, that's what she should be doing from the start. I know. It looks fucking incredible, to be honest, man. Like, just the way, just the aerial shots as well. But little does she know, Bronn and Jaime have a little weapon, don't they? Yes. Man, this was kind of harrowing. I was like, man, they're gonna. I really did think he was gonna, like, that was it. Yeah, same. I really thought we were gonna lose a dragon. I thought that too, but not yet. As it turns out, not yet. But yeah, and then like, freaking Jaime. What did you think of that episode? How that ended with Jaime, like
drowning in that what looked like, I'm sorry, a pond of a puddle of water. It did not look that deep. And then he's like, it looks like he's in the ocean when he's in the water.
Yeah, look, that part of it I'm a bit sketchy on. But I do like the impulse of grabbing a lance and just going straight for Daenerys, because then essentially you've ended the war.
Yeah,
Like,
and
I
also
get
he
what he's
has
doing.
that instinct, you know. That's how he killed the Mad King. He was going to kill Dany the exact same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode also has the running joke of Sam's brother being named Dickon.
Yes.
like Jamie's doing that on purpose. He totally knows that his name is Dickon, but he just like, and I love like Bronn just laughs.
Yeah.
But it's awesome, man. But I believe before that episode, we also got Lady Olenna going out like a bad bitch.
Oh, yeah. Tell Cersei, it was me.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Man, because this we've had to wait 3 seasons for confirmation, right?
Yeah. I mean, in hindsight, when you do the rewatch, it's like, I would say it's
Very obvious.
but
Yeah.
it's pretty like clued in that she was responsible for it. But definitely I remember watching it the first time, you're like, oh shit, she did not just do that. And it's kind of like this mind blown of how her hand has been involved in so much of what's gone on in the past as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, man. Like, because don't forget, like before that, essentially, the Lannisters have kind of like pulled a bait and switch. So you've got Grey Worm going to Casterly Rock, and you know Casterly Rock being essentially empty.
That was scary as well, because you're kind of like, yeah, why was that so easy?
Right, exactly. And then, you know, they see the ships, and it turns out the entire Lannister army's gone to Highgarden, and they've taken Highgarden. But yeah, man, Olenna goes out like a bad bitch. I love Diana Rigg as Olenna, man. She is incredible. And that ending for her was so
beautiful.
fantastic.
Like, she could not have ended her part on the show any more triumphantly.
Exactly. So let's just talk about quickly this kind of like you've got the sand snakes, you know, below deck of this ship, and then they get ambushed by Euron, who's coming to collect a gift for Cersei because he wants Cersei's hand in marriage, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This entire, what do you think about this sort of massive sort of action sequence
with the
boats?
With the boats.
Yeah.
It was pretty. It was another like unexpected.
Visually, it looked fantastic.
Yeah, and it was another very unexpected battle scene, I guess, as well. And I remember when this episode aired, and everyone was talking about how Theon is going through PTSD and everything like that, and that was like a big topic at the time, how this character is going through PTSD and how the show highlights PTSD and all this kind of stuff. It was such a big topic at the time, and then I remember on the rewatch it was such a small part of the episode as well, but it's still a big theme for Theon, of course. But that's when we kind of do see, because up to that point he's kind of like tried to renew himself and really tried to be there for Yara as well. But then obviously as soon as he's faced with an ultimatum, fight or fly, he definitely chooses to fly. Because he just can't do it. And it's sad for Yara, because at that point you're kind of like, well, she's been a real warrior at this point too. And you really don't know what's going to happen to her as well and what he's going to do to her.
Yeah, I agree, man, because like we already know that Euron's kind of crazy.
Yeah. He don't give
like
no fucks.
Super crazy. No, he don't give no fucks, but he ends up taking her to King's Landing, right? I believe.
Yeah,
because he takes the Sand Snakes to King's Landing too, right?
Because he takes what you said, and the daughter, one daughter, and because they impale the rest, kill the rest.
Yeah, man. Cersei with Ilaria and the daughter just kind of like
like we've seen Cersei be a villain before, but in season 7. holy shit. Because again, like we said from season 6, after the whole like church went against her and all this kind of stuff, this is where we really see like she just doesn't give a fuck anymore. She's going to play by her own rules. And what a point to start off from. The torture that she puts these two through as well. It's just genius, but so freaking evil.
So diabolical, man. Insane. So Jon and Daenerys decide to call a truce with Cersei and head north of the Wall to capture a White Walker. That's incorrect because they just want to capture a White. But yeah, essentially you get this kind of like sort of like usual suspects group that head north of the Wall.
I fucking love it.
Dude, how awesome is that build up like right at the end
crew.
there?
Oh my god. This I would
So
say,
good.
okay, so for me it's definitely Battle of the Bastards is number 1, but this episode is definitely I don't know about if it's number 2, but it's definitely up there for me. I loved this episode where, yeah, it's just the misfits on this like tiny little rock and they're just waiting to see what their fate is, pretty much.
Right, because Gendry's gone back to
Gendry's
send a
run
raven.
off. Yeah,
he's to send a raven to Daenerys. But yeah, this location in Iceland, man, how beautiful is it? It's incredible. But yeah, they're surrounded by whites and just some amazing moments here. I love the back and forth between each character.
Yeah,
like
how they all kind of like have their own little conversations with each other, because they've all like somewhat not interacted directly with each other, but they've all kind of interacted with people who they've interacted with. It's just a very weird kind of like, you know, Tormund and Brienne, and then Tormund, Brienne, and then the Hound, and then the Hound and Arya, and then like it's just like all these like random people have like interacted in some way, and now they're all together. And then like, you know, obviously Jon and Jorah have their little talk about the sword and everything like that. Just I love those little moments. It felt like felt like kind of like, you know, such a corny little moment, but it was needed. They had to obviously, you know, talk about the fact that they know people that they know.
No, I love it. It's fantastic. Like especially, definitely. Well, one of the most funniest is Tormund and the Hound, but my personal favorite is Jon and Jorah like with the sword. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. But this is also kind of like in the scuffle here. We lose Thoros of Myr, so essentially Beric Dondarrion is on his last life.
Yeah, he was a great character too. I really
I liked him, man. He grew on me a lot.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. But yeah, man, Dany just fucking flies in and lays waste. This is cool. Dude, something that I hated even the first time around and on my rewatch, man, Jon, just stop killing the whites. Just jump on the dragon.
Why did he kill the whites? Exactly.
It's so
Is it because I tried to on the rewatch, I was like trying to like work it, because I remember watching that first time I'd be like, oh my god, why are you still killing them? But I think on the rewatch he was killing them, but I think because he was like, was it because the way he was like fighting them off, he was somewhat getting, like he was moving his feet, like, so he was kind of getting further and further away from the dragon kind of thing? Because I remember watching it be like, why the fuck did you move so far away from the dragon? Like, you idiot.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it just felt so, like, tactically, it just felt so pointless.
Because, like, normally, like, you know, this show is pretty smoothless when it comes to that kind of stuff, but that moment did feel a little bit shortchanged. Yeah,
I mean, like, I think because once he carves a path through the whites, like, he's got kind of like a clear shot at the Night King, right? Doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because they lock eyes?
Is it because, like, he doesn't want them to like hurt the dragon, so he's all like really defensive about it? Like, that's one thing that I agree. I wasn't too in love with how that happened either, because you're just like, get on the fucking dragon,
right? Like, that's got massive consequences to come.
Yeah,
because I mean, one of my favorite moments in the entire show, like I'm talking just singular moments, dude. The Night King, the way the music builds up, makes that spear, throws it like, oh, good God, dude. And the way the dragon just goes down like a fucking 747 jet. Oh, it's awesome. Crashes into the ice.
I guess obviously it had to happen. You know, they have to get a dragon. Dany has to have vengeance as well, kind of thing. She has to have that fuel in her body, kind of thing. But yeah, they could have workshopped that whole scene maybe with Jon just that little bit better. But yeah, I remember the brutality of when you see that dragon go down.
Yeah, I didn't see them. Like, I should have known. I should have pieced together that they were going to resurrect it, but I didn't see it coming until it happened. Like, I was just like, holy shit, this shit just got big.
Yeah.
What do you think about Benjen Stark coming in and saving Jon here?
Oh, again, like, because I remember when he came in a few other seasons and he saved Bran as well. He like helped Bran out, and you're kind of like, okay, this random guy just keeps saving the day. It did feel a little bit like Marvel movie, like here comes this guy saving the day again, kind of thing.
Easy, Jill. You know I love Marvel.
It was kind of yeah. Well, that's what it felt like to me.
Hey, at least I'm not Matt. All right, at least I'm not Matt.
So it did kind of feel like I wouldn't say a cop out, but like, you know, they had that character there. They used him for it, which is good. And I guess, you know, he had to die for something, and to save his like ancestry, I guess, is a pretty poignant reason to die. But what did you think? You know how Jon gets out of the water and he you know, the sword, how it has the like eye, and people were like, oh, it went blue. What did you think?
Yeah, that shit. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Okay, so that's what I thought first. When I first watched it and the whole thing was going around like, oh my God, it turns blue. The sword's now a White Walker, blah, blah. I was like, that's fucking bullshit. Like, it did not turn blue. But then on the rewatch, it did kind of look like it went another color. Because I was like, okay, I want to fucking sit down and watch this. And I don't know if it was just a reflection or whatever else.
What does that mean?
There was a flicker in its eye. I don't fucking know.
I mean, it's not like it's going to sprout legs and just...
And it's not like it's going to... Exactly. It's not like it's going to fight Jon. So I don't know if I was seeing things or...
The only property of that sword is that it's Valyrian steel and can kill Ice Walkers. Oh, sorry, White Walkers, Jesus Christ. I mean, like, that's... I know, fucking hell.
We need to go to bed.
Yeah. But it's like, it's weird. It's like... Why is that even a theory? Like, what does that mean? It's got no repercussions.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was kind of like, nah, maybe my eyes are just seeing things. I don't know. But if you're out there and you think of that theory, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. So funnily enough, that was because I'm such a shit person, I have not completed my rewatch yet, which means I've only seen the final episode once, and that was when it aired. Jill, talk to me about the final episode.
Oh, like as much as episode 9, was it that episode 9 with the White Walkers?
Well, this has only got 7 episodes, I think.
Oh, okay. The second last episode was probably, again, one of my favorite, up there for my favorite episodes. But again, they always do, the last 2 episodes of every season is always magnificent as well. And they always have like the action in the second last episode. And then in the last episode, it's all the politics. It's all about like all these changes that happen and the implications of it, which is amazing. So in the last episode, so they've lost the dragon. Dany kind of comes back and is kind of like reflective of it all, and they're all thinking about that. In the meantime, which we haven't really talked about too much, is the fact that Arya has come back to the north. So she was going to go off and she was going to keep fighting her list, you know, keep killing people off her list and all that kind of stuff. But then she hears about how the Starks have taken over Winterfell and that Sansa is back home, Jon's there, and all that kind of stuff. So she kind of has this like, do I keep fighting and do I keep ticking people off my list, or do I just go home? And I'm really glad that Arya went home because, again, she's been through so much as well. So she's finally come back home to the north. She's reunited with Sansa, and in season 7, that's when we get the reunion with Bran as well. He comes back to the north too, and creeps everyone out about how he's seen and things, and how he's all changed now and whatever else. But then we also get the sword, the Valyrian steel sword as well, that he gifts to Arya. And then Arya also meets Brienne, and they have a little fight off. And Sansa sees what Arya has become in the last few years. And this is what we were going to talk about before too, when I mentioned how Sansa's been keeping a lot of people close to her. She hasn't been really too vulnerable with anyone else since the Boltons, because she's really kept trying to keep herself safe. And then she comes to the North, and I feel like she still kind of does that for a bit. But then Jon's really like, you need to tell me everything. I'm your brother kind of thing. You need to trust me and all this kind of stuff. And they kind of try and have this rebonding of a relationship, but then he leaves. And so she's then having to take care of the North and everything like that. And this is where, like, I'm not 100% sure of, like, of the timeline of all of this and how they did it. But you kind of watched season 7 thinking that Arya and Sansa totally hate each other. They're totally not really in love with each other because, Arya, you get the sense that Arya is blaming Sansa for the death of her father and the reason that Arya had to go through all of her stuff and everything like that. And then Sansa...
Don't forget Littlefinger is like playing them too, right?
Exactly. And so you're constantly like, okay, these two hate each other. And then again, he plays Arya around with the notes and everything like that. But do you think that it's a kind of like... he knows, she knows, she knows, he knows type of situation where, you see Arya following Lord Baelish, and then you kind of get the sense of, okay, Lord Baelish knows that Arya is following him. But do you think that Arya is doing it like to be like, okay, stay with me, Zoe, stay with me. So I'm with you. Do you think that Arya is playing it as like, okay, Lord Baelish knows that I'm following him and he wants me to take these notes, so I'm going to do what he does. So Lord Baelish knows that I know that he knows I'm following him, but I'm going to play along with this game. You know what I'm saying?
What? Yes. You know what? That didn't sound as crazy as you think it did.
To me? Okay, cool.
Because I am 100% in agreement with you. I think Arya played along and made Baelish think that for once he had the upper hand.
Yeah.
And it kind of like sealed the deal for her with the dagger. Because remember the dagger that started it all, the dagger that was supposed to kill Bran.
Yeah.
She's never really trusted Littlefinger. So this is kind of like Littlefinger's sort of like last ditch effort to manipulate these two. Make no mistake, although they're young girls, they are still like two of the most powerful people in the North or even the country.
Very worldly. They've been through a lot as well.
Right, exactly. So I think it's just like kind of like a last ditch effort to manipulate each other and get them to turn on each other. But Arya, like, seeing as, she's been through so much shit, she can pick up on this shit like
so do you think, because we don't really get to see a lot of the three siblings interacting together, do you think that Bran kind of was like, look, I've seen this is what's happened, this is the deal, Baelish is the bad guy, this is what we need to do moving forward, this is all the information I know, okay, so let's plot this and let's do it this way. Like, how do you think this kind of the series played out with the siblings? Because it is kind of like, okay, they're back, but there's a bit of conflict and there's a bit of tension there because you don't really see them coming together until that last episode where they kind of bring Arya to the council, and that's where the three of them kind of stand up and say Baelish for treason, starting the war and all this kind of stuff, and how they full on say, if it wasn't because of you, we wouldn't be in this war right now. And then Sansa's kind of like, you fight sister against sister, you put my mother and her sisters together, you're doing the exact same thing with me and my sister, this has got to end. And then that's where where Arya ends his life with that dagger as well. So what do you think kind of happened beforehand? Like, do you think there was much interaction with the siblings?
Well, man, it's tough. It's tough to guess with Bran because he's so weird.
Yeah.
Bran is strange. I feel like Bran holds a lot of things close to his chest as well, while at the same time he's kind of insensitive as to what he lets out. Like, how he's like, oh, I saw what happened to you, Sansa. I saw, I was there with you in the room.
On your wedding night,
Yeah. So I feel like Bran is very strange in that way. I don't know. I think the writers know I think the writers have been particularly vague with the character of Bran, because that might be a potential plot hole if he does kind of like reveal everything to them.
I am very curious of how like their relationship is and how they all came together and like what is a lie and what's not a lie, because you have this scene with Arya and Sansa and it's just them two in the room, and it's when Sansa finds like Arya's faces. And they're kind of arguing, and that's when they say quite hurtful things. And Arya's all like, "I saw you there. You were there when they, when Joffrey like killed Ned and all this kind of stuff." And you're kind of like, "Is this all for show?" Because it's just them two in a room, unless they know that Lord Baelish has always got people listening, kind of thing. So it's like, were they always on show?
Right. It's tough. Like that entire sort of like subplot.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by it.
Kind of baffles me. Yeah. Kind of baffles me. But I feel like it's been resolved. Like
the last episode, all the siblings come together, but I'm just intrigued of how they all came together and what their relationship is like, because the whole of season 7, it's all about like, you kind of do think, is Sansa going to kill Arya, or is Arya going to be vengeful of Sansa, kind of thing. You are kind of always thinking like, what's going to happen between these two, because they don't have the best relationship, kind of thing. But then at the end, the last episode is when they all come together all of a sudden. So that's where it's very curious. Right. And I'm really hoping that in season 8 you really get to see the bond of all the like, Sansa, Arya, Bran, and now Jon's going to come back. It will be very interesting to see how all of them interact as a family together as well.
Right, exactly. Did you... sorry, I can't recall because this conversation has been so good. Did you talk about the Cersei with the White?
Oh, we didn't really... Yeah, we didn't really talk about that, because after that episode of them, they actually did capture the White, and then they brought it to King's Landing in front of like all, and that's when we all get that reunion. It was a reunion episode. Yeah, we get all that reunion. All of them come together. All the Brienne's there as well. Cersei's there. All of the the Hounds there. The Mountains there. All of them are there, and that's when they bring the White in front of everyone, and that's where everyone sees that the myths are really true. And then we get Cersei walking away, not wanting to be a part of it. And then this is the episode too where I thought Tyrion was going to die, because obviously Cersei says to Jon, gives him an ultimatum where she says, I'm going to paraphrase, where she kind of says like, I'll fight for you, but you have to, give up the North and pledge your allegiance to Cersei, pretty much. And he says no, because he pledges his allegiance to Dany. And then she just walks away from it. And everyone's like, why didn't you just lie? Like all this kind of stuff. And he's just like, oh, I'm not a liar. I'm a good boy, kind of thing. But that's when Cersei kind of walks off, and Tyrion's like, look, I'll talk to her. And it's very like harrowing, because he just walks by himself, no one else. And it's just the Mountain, Cersei and him, and then the Mountain kind of leaves, and then it's just her. And like, honestly, because she is so evil and cunning and she is smart, you never know, like, because he pours himself wine and then you think, oh, but even though it was there beforehand, you never know, she could have just poisoned it for whatever reason, or she has all these like daggers maybe in her desk, whatever else. So I remember always being like, holy shit, are we going to lose Tyrion in this episode? And then he walks out and says, nope, it's all good. She's going to fight for us. Yay, kind of thing. And then they kind of get off and go about their life and go back on the ship. And that's where, Jorah's all like, oh, you should do it this way, blah, blah, blah. And then Jon's like, oh, no, I think we should ride together. And Dany's like, yeah, we should ride together, kind of thing. Yes, let's ride together. And so Jorah's a bit like, oh, okay, I see how it is. I love that. He literally is. He's a bit like, oh, shit, kind of like
bit
the
salty.
tension.
Yeah.
It is a bit salty. Definitely been friend zone, poor Jorah, kind of thing.
Oh, man. I feel for Jorah. Like, the guy literally, like, bought you back a gift.
Yeah, and literally was like, I'm in love with you, kind of thing. Like,
he killed people in the fighting pits for you, Daenerys. Okay, so...
But then I just wanted to mention too, so so Jamie's like getting the army ready, you know, he's getting the whole, you know, King's Landing ready to leave, to fight for, you know, the White Walkers and all this kind of stuff, and then Cersei's like, you're an idiot, we're not obviously going to fight, like, you know, let them have their games, and then if they come over here, then they come over here, but that's not going to happen, we'll just live over here and do our own thing, kind of thing. And, you know, that's where she kind of reveals that she's pregnant. Is she pregnant? Is she just using that to manipulate Jamie? I actually am on the fence about that. Yeah. I'm a bit on the fence about that. And then Jamie kind of has this, I think that's when Jamie realizes, hopefully, that she's really lost it. Because I think in season 7 she starts to do things, and he does question her a bit, but obviously he's gone too far and he's in love with her for whatever reason. But then I think this is where he's obviously seen the brutality of what is to come and knows right from wrong, and that's when he leaves and goes to fight for Jon and all that as well. So he leaves her. That's how he leaves her. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was definitely kind of a fist pump moment for me, because it's just like, finally, Jamie, you've come to your senses.
I know, and I hate to admit, but Jamie is a good character. Like, his character,
he's fantastic.
He's a great fighter and all this kind of stuff. He's flawed, obviously, but he's come a long way, and I feel like he's obviously. I think he's a good person at heart. He's just surrounded by evil people. And it'll be interesting to see how the Starks take him, because you got to remember, he's another reason why this whole war started, because he pushed Bran out the window, and then that whole conflict happened, and yada yada. So, but then again, Bran should thank him, because now he's the three-eyed raven and all this shit. So it'll be interesting to see how that interaction goes.
Yeah. But we find out a few things here at the end, don't we? So while Daenerys and Jon are
having fun,
playing a little bit of we find out that Jon's true heritage is that he's not in fact Ned's bastard, but a Targaryen with a legitimate claim to the Iron Throne.
Yes, because before we knew he was Targaryen, didn't we? But we just didn't know, if it was legit.
Yeah, because it's actually briefly mentioned in an episode earlier.
Because doesn't Gilly read out?
Yeah, Gilly reads it out, and Sam's like, "Oh, fuck that shit!" Like,
he's just annoyed at life that he just doesn't register it.
Right, exactly. He's pissed off at the Citadel. So that's a thing that's going to come back. But man, the season closes with something that I actually kind of predicted.
Oh, yeah?
I did predict this. Yeah, I was like, at the start of the season, I was just like, oh, I bet you it's going to end with the wall coming down. Because what other awesome way? Like, I didn't think that, I didn't predict the dragon at all. But I definitely knew about the wall. Like, this scene is foreboding as shit. And it's just such an incredible way to keep us all just hanging by a thread for, what is it, a year? 2 years?
Yeah, and because there's but the wildlings have gone to help protect the wall as well, and so that whole, that's a solid amount of an army is in jeopardy as well.
Yeah, but man, Game of Thrones. Are you excited, Julie?
I'm so fucking excited. I honestly, because again, I don't really read forums or whatever else. I really don't know what to expect. I have because I've watched or I've read a few interviews with some of the people, and they're really, it's a bit boring because they don't have anything to say about the series as well. And obviously they don't want to give it away. They can't, which is good, which is fine. So I don't know what's really going to happen. What I really want to happen is, again, I really actually am curious about the whole family dynamic of the North. Whether or not Dany and Jon are going to be romantic and stay romantic, because that will have implications on if they're going to run for the throne or not. Will Dany fall pregnant?
Or they'll be in contention for it.
Will Dany actually fall pregnant with Jon Snow's heir, like son or, daughter?
Interesting.
Because, she can't fall pregnant, but what if, this time, because Jon's such a man.
Magic.
Such a magical man that she falls pregnant, and who knows, maybe that's another plot that happens and whatever else. But yeah, what are your predictions, if you have any, to some degree at all?
I'm
for the next
definitely with
season?
you. I don't read forums. I don't really like with it's funny because with Matt loves to speculate. And Matt loves.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go, Jill. No, you go.
But too nice. I did have, because we kind of touched on briefly before how, season 7, everyone was like, oh, this season went too fast. No one died. Remember, like, how everyone was complaining that no one died and blah, blah, blah. I did have this theory that, not a theory, but, a way of looking at the show and the season from pretty much season 7 onwards, maybe even season 6, is like, up until this point, like now, because especially as season 8 is the last season, these are the survivors now that we've got. So season 7 included, so people were complaining like, oh, no one's died, blah, 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 because they've gone through everything else to get to this point. You know what I mean? Like, so, we look at who we've got left. We've got Bran, we've got the Hound, we've got Jaime, we've got even the evil people, because they've outwitted the good. That's why they're still around. Cersei has outlived all of her children and her father and everything like that, because she's the most strongest and the most villainous, and she needs to be in that scenario, in that world that she lives in. The Mountain somehow is still there. And all these people that have survived, like Jon, obviously, as well, Bran, all these people, they're the survivors. They're what's going to matter at the end, at the last few episodes, and it's going to be the best fighting the best as well. We've got the White Walkers. Let's get the best survivors. The reason that Arya has like done all this training, came back to the north and is ready to fight. I'd love to see battle scenes with her. I hope she gets her moment. And, obviously really looking forward to Jon and Arya meeting. I hope that they do that really well too. But you got to think all these people that have lived, and Gendry, bringing Gendry back to the show as well. Like all these people, they're it now. They're the crew, they're the misfits that are going to fight, kind of thing. So I wasn't actually that disappointed that, no one really died in season 7, because it was the survivors surviving and kind of thing. So that was my kind of take on that whole thing that everyone's complaining about, and the rest of the series is like, we've got the best of the best now, and they're going to fight the White Walkers. As far as prediction goes, look, I honestly am the same. I have no idea. I really don't know. They're not going to make it obvious. So every obvious answer I feel like we have, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, throw it out the window.
Yeah. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, whatever happens, right, whether some White Walkers still survive and some, civilians are still alive, but they've both kind of taken hints and then they both go back to, and it just continues. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it ends, but at the same time, maybe literally who knows what they're going to do. But obviously I really hope they pull it off. I think that, I think they will. I know it's a big like ask to pull this whole massive, TV series and end it really like on a high, because it's done so many feats and it's changed television forever. How can you end it on a more significant note than it has already brought to audiences? But I really hope, and I really do think they will pull it off, because obviously they've thought about it for this long. They've got to.
I'm confident they'll pull it off, dude.
Yeah,
like
that's
I
why
said,
I'm not speculating, because I just know that they'll do it.
It's tough. Like it is tough to speculate because there's so many ways that it could go. Like Game of Thrones is notorious for playing with audience expectations and subverting expectations. So I think that's the way they're going to go as well. I mean, like, from the trailers, I mean, I've seen the trailers and shit. Like, we know that there's going to be a massive battle at Winterfell. Like that's probably going to be with the White Walkers, and also we know that one of the episodes will be an hour. I believe 4 episodes will be an hour and a half.
An hour and a half,
and it will have the longest battle scene committed to film.
Yeah.
So, think about that. Like, think about all the battle sequences in Lord of the Rings. It'll be longer than that.
I have no idea what's going to happen. I honestly don't. And that's why I'm excited for this season, because I'm really going to go into it with an open mind. I saw this meme today, actually, and it was a quote from Rob Baratheon, and it was saying, "Never meet the Dothrakis in an open field." And then you've got that shot from the trailer of the horse, that trailer of the horse coming to the north on an open field.
Yeah. Badass,
Love
dude.
that.
Badass.
That would be great.
But man, I've got nothing else. I'm all tapped.
Yeah, it's just whatever will happen, will happen. It's going to be on the 15th in Australia when we're going to be able to view it.
Yep, literally, what is that, 4 days? 4 days to go.
For us, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. It's insane how quickly it's come around. So, and
it was like a year wait, wasn't it? Nearly?
I believe, wasn't it 2?
I feel like it was a long ass time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It must have been 2 because I remember watching. No, has it already been 2 years?
I believe it was 2.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, life just flies. Like it's insane. Like this totally turned into a phenomenon. Yeah, Jill, the last episode aired 27th of August 2017, so about a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm sure. Look, Jill, this talking Game of Thrones with you has been outstanding. I've had a blast. What was it? Collectively 4.5 hours. I know. I love it. So, look, man, I'm sure that we'll have you back on to talk GOT after season 8. I'm sure.
Oh, we've got to wrap it up, don't we?
We do got to wrap it up. We can't just leave it hanging. So I'm definitely keen to talk more Game of Thrones, more whatever you're into, dude. Like,
sick.
I know the other guys love having you on the podcast too. Like they're always like, man, that Jill, she knows how to like put her thoughts on out there. Like she's fantastic. No, I swear.
Stop shit talking me. I'll do your freaking podcast. It's fine.
All right, guys. Jill, do you have anything to plug before we head out of here?
Nah, I'm all good. If you want to follow me on social media, I do post British memes occasionally on my Instagram, Jolt. It's JOLT___. But other than that, I'm all chill. I'm just happy to chat.
Hell yeah. Guys, thank you so much for listening to another special feature episode of Midnight Double Feature. If you want to follow us, we're on Facebook. So we've got 2 pages. We've got Midnight Double Feature, which is our main page. And then we've got the After Party, which is where we post memes, news, and other little funny shit. So if you want to be part of the conversation, definitely head over there. We're also on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature, and we're on Twitter, which is at MDF Pod. And be sure to rate and review us on iTunes. Look, even if you think we're worth 1 star, give us 1 star, but just tell us why. Like I'm always down to hear like where we can improve and shit. So, yeah, for sure do that. But we've got some big shit coming up. We just dropped episode 100. So that's gonna be out there in the wind. Yeah, man, here's to another 100 episodes, and hopefully have you on more often, Jill.
Yay! Well done. Congrats. Another 100
awesome.
more.
Another 100 more. All right, Jill, let's head the fuck out of here.
All right, I need to sleep. Bye.
All right, see you later, guys.